What's going on, guys? This is Rowdy with the Homeway Hustle podcast, and today we have a very dear friend of mine for about going on 20 years now. He is up and coming in the fitness world. He's becoming a pretty big deal, and becoming a fitness influencer, and having wellness of people is something that's super important to him. So I want to introduce a very dear friend of mine, Mr. Andrew Rhinehart with Rhinehart Fitness.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. So, man, everything been good?
Yeah, man.
Been some nasty rainy days here.
It's nasty.
Yeah.
Like, we need a boat in Memphis right now.
I know. Yeah, it's been record flooding, It's been scary. I feel bad for a lot of these people.
They said that it was going to be like record-breaking rainfall. We've never seen this much rain ever.
Yeah, it's been bad, but
For sure.
I guess in the fitness world though, has it affected your clients being able to come and see you and everything?
Actually, no. Praise God. Like, I prayed that, I wouldn't lose power, that it wouldn't affect my business. And, I mean, I will straight up say that God has been faithful to that. Like, I have not lost power at all.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and everybody was able to get to me and get to the gym. So, it's actually been pretty good.
Yeah. So tell us about your gym. Like, where do you work? Like, where do you bring your clients to? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
So I actually created a studio gym at my house. Basically I turned the garage into a studio gym.
Mm-hmm. So why do you do that as opposed to like taking people to a commercial gym or something like that?
So first and foremost, commercial gyms, most of them don't allow you to do personal training in the gym. Most of them, if they find out, they will kick you out.
Yeah. Is that why back in the day you always had to work out with me every morning?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So basically, and a lot of trainers do it.
Yeah.
If they don't have their own gym, they basically, they'll tell the client, they're like, we're working out together.
Yeah.
Because that's what the rules of the actual gym.
Yeah.
If they can't kick you out if you're just workout partners.
Yeah.
But if they find out that like you're actually training them, they'll kick you out. And they'll cancel your membership.
Is that because it's kind of like a liability to them? Is that what they
for sure.
feel like?
For sure. That's why ATC and other gyms like that, they don't have personal trainers.
Yeah. It's a big liability.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I've been to like Lifetime and Crunch, and they have in LA, like they have people trying to sell you stuff all the time.
I mean, that's their business model.
Yeah.
I started professionally. I started at LA Fitness.
Yeah.
Actually, technically, I started at JW Fitness.
Yeah.
And
what was that?
So basically, from what I've heard, it was the Mecca a long time ago in Memphis. It was called. It's part of Jumping World.
Yeah.
So you have the Jumping World kids area on one side, and then they had the gym on the other.
Is that like Sycamore View over there? Is that right? Okay.
Yep. Super old school.
Yeah.
And basically, I got that job. I was at a bar. A guy overheard me talking, and basically came up to me and said, "Man," he said, and I had just literally passed my certification, and so I was like really passionate about it. I was really excited. I could finally do it, quote, professionally. And this guy approached me. He said, "Man," he said, "Look, I've heard your story." He's like, "I hope you don't mind me eavesdropping." He's like, "But I just left this gym. It sounds like you need a job. If you call this guy tomorrow, he will hire you on the spot."
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So I called him. Long story short, sure enough, he did. He hired me. I basically started at the front desk. He said basically any clients that I had at that current time I could bring in for free. And fast forward about 30 days later, maybe, Josh Chapman out of nowhere walked in. I still to this day don't know. He didn't have a membership, nothing. I don't know how he found me. But he walks in, he says, "You need to come work with me." And basically gave me a couple of things that I would definitely have.
And who's Josh Chapman?
Josh Chapman is I don't know what he does anymore. I haven't seen him in a couple of years. But he was like the guy over personal training and personal training sales at LA
Yeah.
Fitness.
Okay, gotcha.
So basically, he said, come to me at LA, and I'll give you a job.
Yeah.
And sure enough, within
Yeah.
about 90 days, I had over 100
Really.
clients.
And was he like a respected, like well known person in the industry, or is he just that he just have that job?
I don't know about the industry, but at LA Fitness, I mean,
Yeah.
he was high up.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
Yeah. Which one did you work at?
Lakeland.
Really? Were you there when it flooded?
No,
That was crazy.
no, I heard about it. I have a good friend of mine that still train over there, um, and he said that it was crazy.
Yeah, I saw videos, and you could see in one video the weed growing out of the drain on the roof, which is why it collapsed.
I heard like a freaking tree was growing on the
Yeah,
roof.
but yeah, because they didn't maintain the roof at all, so that's why all the drains got clogged up, and that's why I just made a swimming pool
Hmm.
on the roof, and eventually just clogged in.
And then they got bought out.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, that may have been the catalyst to that, or at least that location anyway.
I don't know what the full story is. I just know that Esporta took over LA
Yeah,
Fitness.
yeah, for sure.
But that's how I got my
Yeah,
start.
yeah. So what made you like tell us your story? Like where did fitness begin for you? Like why did you just where and when did you decide? Like I mean, back in the day you were bar backing and things like that. Like so, at what point did you decide that hey, like this is something that I want to pursue?
So yeah, so like I graduated high school. I was the skinny kid. Basically, I weighed like 130 pounds. And I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. Um, Fast forward a couple years, just doing job after job after job, and I was doing telecom.
Yeah,
And
you were making really good money doing that, weren't you?
yeah, yep.
Yeah,
I was doing telecom, and I was traveling in and out of hotels. I lived all over the place, and I decided I'll never forget being in Atlanta, and I had just gotten a whole bunch of junk food, and I was like, man, what am I doing? I was like, I've gone so far away from being in shape and all this other stuff. And so I actually a good friend of ours, one thing I have to give him credit for, Ken Lyles.
yeah.
He told me probably a couple years before
He'll
that.
motivate a guy to get in shape, won't
Yeah.
he?
He told me to look at bodybuilding.com. And that was the only thing I could remember that night. So long story short, I found a program. I went to the first gym I could find in Atlanta. I ended up meeting a good bodybuilder friend of mine named Anthony. He taught me how to eat, taught me how to train. So then probably about within a year, I'd put on a good amount of size, to the point that when I came back home to Memphis, people were like, "What are you doing?" Like, there's
Yeah.
obviously been a transformation.
Yeah.
So I started teaching other people what I was doing, and so I guess the thing that got me started was I just didn't want to be skinny and small no more.
Yeah.
So I just learned what worked for me,
Yeah.
and then over the years, I've learned what works for other people.
Yeah. So that when you made that decision, was that more of like a confidence thing for you, or like I need to be like healthier, or what? Like what do you how do you feel about that?
I think for me, um, it was more of a confidence thing.
Yeah.
I really didn't care about my health. I really
Yeah.
didn't care about like what I was eating or anything like that. It was like
Yeah.
I just whatever it takes to get bigger, that's what I'm gonna
I
do.
gotcha. I understand. Yeah. Yeah. So let me see here what I got. So you've decided to get in the gym and put on some size. So what about the people asking those questions and be able to did you really enjoy like the teaching part of it? Like at first, like well, let me ask you this question: at what point did you decide to kind of monetize you teaching people? Because I guess at first you were just helping your friends out and answer questions and phone calls. Like at what point did you decide like, man, I could make a business out of this?
Oh wow, that was when I was just helping people. I never looked at it as a business.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't have the business mindset at that time. It was literally just, hey, I'll help anybody and everybody that wants my help.
Yeah.
So I had so many people that were watching me that I had no idea. Like you said, I was doing the bar back thing, and so I would come to 152 or any place like that, and I'd be like, man, people would tell me I follow you on social media and stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
like I had no clue. So I started having people follow what I did a long time before
Yeah.
I ever really knew it.
Yeah, I can attest to that. Like I feel like when you're passionate about something, like for me, like I'm passionate about leadership and entrepreneurship and my business and family and things like that. I'm passionate about those things. And people, when you're passionate about something and you love what you're doing, you're gonna you wanna spread it to the masses.
For sure.
And I guess at some point you understand that like in order for you to reach as many people as you can, you have to monetize it. Because if you want to be the coach and be if you wanted to spread the love to everybody, you got to do full time. And with full time becomes you have a family to raise, family to
Oh
feed,
yeah.
and bill. So like I guess sometimes as when you want to teach people, you got to understand that like if I want to be a real servant of people, you have to start charging for it. Because if you want to be able to do it full time and give it all you got, you're human and you have bills to pay. So at what point did you understand like, yeah, I have to monetize this, and why did you make that decision?
Um, I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
you got to feed your family,
Yeah.
and I think for me, I realized once I left LA, and went on my own, it was obviously scary because you don't know. I mean, you hear it all the time that personal trainers, they did it for, because you ask, I'll work with so many people that had a trainer before. And I always ask, why'd you leave them? What made you, stop? Things like that. And sometimes I'll hear that, he quit doing it. Or she quit doing it and went to the fire department or went to this. And it doesn't work out for everybody. So I've definitely been fortunate for me, that God has truly blessed my business. Um, but I think for me is just the fact that, like you said, when you're passionate about something, you can't help it.
Yeah.
And I am truly passionate about helping people improve their quality of
Yeah.
life. It's not about just, getting big biceps, getting the bikini body. It's something from as simple as helping somebody be able to play with their grandkids. Um, help a single mom get stronger so that she can do her day-to-day tasks.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it so happens that I have to, provide for my family.
Sure.
And I create a business around it. But honestly, I just let the money take care of itself.
Yeah.
And I just provide as much value for every single person that walks in my gym as
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah. So how do you tailor? I know one thing I see you do a lot is like you work with everybody. A lot of coaches like, they focus on women, or they focus
Hmm.
on bodybuilders, they focus on athletes. Like you work with everybody. I mean, I think two of your clients that I think you showcase the most because they're the most consistent is Lisa and Alicia.
Hmm.
Like Lisa's story is incredible. So how do you and I'm not sure how old Lisa is, but she's obviously a grown person. But like, how do you take what Lisa's wanted to accomplish, and then obviously Alicia, who is our age and was physically fit before she started with you, but just wanted to be better, and then Lisa went on a journey. How do you tailor those two ladies' programs like in the same day, like within your studio gym? How do you put all that together to make it the most efficient for you and for them?
So first and foremost is just understanding what the goals are for the specific person. Um, you know, Lisa, when she started with me 9 years ago, um, she didn't want nothing to do with it.
So let me before we start, put a date on this. When did the whole concept of Rhinehart Fitness begin? What year was that?
Well, it actually became a quote brand
Yeah.
in 21.
Yeah. But when did you start training people?
Um, so on my own,
No, like no, when did you start at the first place? At the first, like, when did you get your first personal fitness job or
that
personal training
was
job?
that was 2014.
Okay, so 2014 you started, and then when did you go on your own?
Um, 2018.
Okay, all right, cool. So now we got a timeline on this. Okay, all right, so keep
I've
going.
actually never really put all
Yeah,
of this together.
it's all it all.
It happened so fast
Yeah,
that you just don't realize how much
yeah.
time has gone by.
It all does me too. Like I just our bit my Homeway officially started on paper 10/17/17. That's the article of corporation, and looking back, it feels like no time at all. It feels like it's flown by.
Yeah.
So continue with what you're saying about how you tailor, Lisa, who is a older woman, and you got Alicia, who is a physically fit
So the
35
funny,
year old.
so the funny thing about Alicia is you assume that just because she wasn't overweight, she was physically fit.
Yeah.
That's not true.
Yeah.
So the thing about Alicia is we can
Shout,
only
shout out to Alicia Looney. Love you, baby.
shout out to Alicia. She's a real one.
Yeah.
So the thing about Alicia is her heart rate, we can only get it up so high
Yeah.
before she is like has to sit down and take breaks.
Yeah.
And when we first started, she would have to take 2 to 3 minute breaks
Yeah.
before like everything started crashing down.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, she's at the place where she is really able to push that threshold that she couldn't do before.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, how do I program each person that is completely different?
That takes a lot of time.
So it's really understanding, like I said, understanding the goals, understanding body types, understanding what it is that we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
If I've got somebody that wants to lose 100 pounds
Yeah.
and I got somebody that wants to get as strong as possible,
Yeah.
those workouts, those programs are not going to look the same. So it's really just on the spot of, okay, what are we doing here today? What am I doing with this person? Some people keep logbooks, some people don't. I don't have just a one size fits all because that doesn't work for everybody. So I just go based on person to person what their preferences are.
So tell us about your onboarding program. Like, new client, they want to come train with you. What do those first couple sessions look like?
Easy.
Yeah. You just want to just feel them. I just see what they got.
Yes. So basically, I am trying to see what is your fitness level.
Yeah.
Because somebody can tell me, oh, I've been working out for this long
Yeah.
and this, and I had a girl come to my class. We don't even know what to call it, the butt class, booty class.
Yeah.
I call it MAGA, making ass great again.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But
That's awesome.
but I had a girl come to the class a couple weeks ago, and I asked her when was the last time she worked out, and she was like, "Oh, 2 weeks ago."
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that she's been training for a while.
Yeah.
She hasn't been back because she got sore for 7 days.
Yeah.
So I think for some people, they think that they are more fit than they think they are, or than they really are. And so that first week or so, depending on how many sessions they're working with me per week, I'm going to dissect what is their fitness level, right? What limitations do they have? Do they have bad knees, bad back? Have they had previous injuries?
Yeah.
Have they had surgeries? And even though I ask these questions, it never fails that they think they've told me everything, and then we do something. They're like, "Oh yeah, I tore my hamstring 2 years ago."
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Like
And you're finna put, we're finna do good
so.
mornings. And yeah.
So I have to be very careful, especially the first week or so. Of obviously, I don't want anybody to get hurt.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, I'm not in your body,
Yeah.
so you have to tell me if
Yeah.
something hurts.
Yeah.
But my biggest thing that I preach on is safety.
Yeah.
Because if you get hurt, you can't train.
Exactly. I remember years ago when when me and you were doing stuff together, and like we talked about, like my schedule is so all over the place. It's hard for me to commit, and I respect your time, and that's why I don't really work with you much anymore. But I still follow everything you do. So I remember there would meet when me and Stephen Hoffman were working with you,
Mm-hmm.
and we both, like, I got hurt, but I hurt myself. Like, I was just doing something stupid, like doing. We got out of leg press, and it was we were doing a body movement, doing jumps, and I was like, and I don't know, I just jumped, like doing, I don't know, I think we were just doing body weight, just like jumps out of the seat, and so we weren't doing anything crazy, and I just jumped. I don't know why I did. I came down wrong, and I bulged my disc in my lower back, and I tried to push through it, but you're like, what's wrong with you? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, my back's hurt really bad. And you immediately said, we're done.
Yeah, got it.
We're done. We gotta figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you, like, you borderline, like, got, like, very emotional about it because you thought that you hurt me,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to tell you, like, dude, we like, if I can't jump up in the air and land back down, that's not your fault. That's my fault. And so I, like,
So let me stop you there.
yeah,
So I will be. See, I'm not. I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong
Yeah.
or when I've done something wrong or something I should correct. And I've learned a lot since
100%.
that first workout with
Yeah.
you. Which that wasn't our first one,
Yeah.
but it was like when COVID opened up, the gyms opened
Yeah.
up, like we were like within that first 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
But I will be man enough to tell you right here now on your podcast, I should never have had you jump at all.
Yeah.
But did we know that was going to happen to your disc? Did we know that was
Yeah.
going to happen to your back? No.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take this time to say there's so many times where trainers, we have a certain program in mind that we think that this will achieve this result, this will achieve this goal. We think this is best, and it's not.
Yeah.
And there's so many times where us as trainers, we need to put our pride aside and realize that we work for you,
Yeah.
not the other way around. So if I have something in my head or in my mind that I have put together that I think is good for you, but you can't do it, what does it say about me if I still try to force you to do it?
Yeah.
Right? So, and yes, I did. I don't really remember getting emotional. I don't even remember that actual part because it was so long ago. But I do know that I take safety very seriously. And like I said, I've evolved since then. And I'll tell you right now, I should never have had you jumping in the first place. So I apologize. But there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just because you think as a trainer that your client should be doing this, and if they can't,
Yeah.
don't force them to do something that's going to get them hurt.
Yeah.
Find something else.
Exactly. Yeah. So, what role does, like, this discipline play in? I know, I know your parents, and you grew up in an incredible household. Where they, and I know that Mr. Wayne Rhinehart ran a pretty tight ship.
Shout out to Wayne Rhinehart.
Yeah. He your dad ran a pretty tight ship, and you and your brothers grew up in a pretty disciplined, like, very, I don't want to say strict, but your dad raised you a very specific way. So how does, so tell me about how where you really learned discipline growing up through your dad and sports, and how do you put that in your business and able to and your, so align your discipline with your faith, and how you roll that into your fitness business.
So I would say that you could categorize it as I was raised in a strict household, but I was raised in a godly household.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I meant. Like Wayne was like, yeah.
And so there's three things that I can say for a fact, that if my dad has ever taught me anything, there are three things that I can say for a fact, and that is, first and foremost, keep God first in your life. If you do that, everything else will fall into place. Secondly, work your butt off. Work ethic is everything. I learned that at a very early age. And lastly, which I guess probably should have been second, is family first. Nothing is more important than family. And so I would say that all three of those is what kind of built the foundation of what I do. Like I said, I truly believe God gave me the gift to help people and to help them reach their goals, to help motivate when they feel defeated, to help lift them up when they feel like I just want to give up. I know what that's like. But as far as the discipline, the work ethic, it started at home. And then it just created the mindset for me that I'm not a quitter. I don't have a choice to quit. So if I'm faced with a challenge or a task that seems hard, you got two choices. You got regret, or you can see it as opportunity. So for me, the discipline part of it is, you do what you got to do. The work ethic is you just don't quit. And remember to keep God first in all of it.
So, when you're taught discipline as a kid, you're taught discipline in athletics. Obviously, you're a little older than me, but we played sports together, at least in the same program. At least in the same program, anyway.
At least one year we played football together. I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think that when I was in 8th grade, I think we played a bit together. But so take that discipline that you learned as a kid, and then how do you put that discipline into entrepreneurship? How do you, the discipline that you teach your clients, how do you keep yourself disciplined with, like, you have, like, you work, you say you work out of your house. Like, how do you make sure the clients are coming in? How do you keep yourself disciplined? And obviously, as a fitness trainer, like, your body's a billboard. So you have to, and you're just like anybody else. I mean, we go through struggles. Like, we all like sugar and alcohol and the whole 9 yards. Like, how do you keep yourself disciplined? Because, I remember there was a guy that worked at what's the big place in Carville? At Lifetime. At Lifetime. This guy was fat, okay? And he was like their top grossing personal trainer. I'm like, how in the hell do you sell personal training without being in shape? And I don't know how he did it, but I feel like if I was going to go to somebody and want to teach me if I want to go get strong, I want the guy to be strong. If I want the guy to teach me how to get a 6-pack, I want him to at least have a 6-pack or have had one. Sure. And so how do you take discipline that you grew up with and transfer it to entrepreneurship and, like, making sure that your brand stays the way that it is?
So first and foremost, the guy that you're talking about, I don't know if it's for sure the guy I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
But if it is the guy that I think it is, he might be overweight.
Yeah.
But he was way more overweight than probably when you saw him. If it's the guy I think it is. That's why I'm not going to say any names.
Yeah.
But as a whole, the saying is you never trust a fat trainer. Because why would you want to follow somebody that does not practice what they preach? Now, for somebody that's overweight, I would say that if they are still striving to better themselves, I think there's a big difference in somebody that is lazy and you can tell does not care about their health, doesn't care about the lifestyle they're preaching to you. They're telling you to do all this other stuff, but yet they don't do it themselves. That's a completely different story.
Yeah.
But for somebody that's just overweight, that's still trying,
Yeah.
that has knowledge
Yeah.
in training, that
Yeah.
has knowledge in resistance profiles and things like that, I think there's something to be said for that. But I mean, as a whole, like you said, I'm a walking billboard.
Yeah.
So if I'm super overweight, most people are not going to want to
Yeah.
do what I say.
Or skinny like they used to be.
Or if I have zero muscle and I'm teaching somebody else
Yeah.
that's even skinnier than me to
Yeah.
put on muscle, why would they listen to me? Obviously, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would look a certain way, right? So as far as your question to how do I stay disciplined, first and foremost, I'll say that I've been blessed with a very good metabolism.
Yeah. I know McCully called your ass out a couple weeks ago.
So yes, I got caught courtside at the Grizzlies game eating ice cream. Yes, I did. 1000%. He got me. But the thing is like, and I love that in a way because you have to have balance.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you don't create balance in your life, you're gonna tip you're gonna tip the scale one side or the other.
No.
You're gonna go to one extreme or the other.
Yeah.
You've got the competitive side where you're eating clean 16 to 20 weeks straight. You're dieting your butt off. You're in a very low body fat percentage, which is unhealthy. And then you have the other extreme where you're 100 pounds, 200 pounds overweight. Finding balance in your nutrition, your entire life is key. And that's what I try to teach people is that it's not all or nothing. You can have your sweets. You can have your desserts. You can have the foods that you like, but it's only in moderation.
Exactly. So you just talking about like body fat. Like, what is the lowest body fat? I know it's probably a general question depending on body type and how but for a man, what is the lowest body fat percentage that somebody could maintain and like be without killing them, like being in shape? What is the lowest body fat that somebody should try to keep?
Like you said, that's a very
Like just a walk around, like not going into, like if somebody just wants to stay in shape, like what should their body fat percentage like be before it becomes unhealthy, like you said?
well, obviously 30% body fat or above is considered obese.
Yeah.
Now, granted, that obviously depends on your height,
Yeah.
all of those things, right? There's a lot of details.
Yeah.
Shout out to Reacher. Details matter.
Yeah. It's like the BMI chart is like,
Oh,
it is the most bullshit thing ever.
I have to agree with
Like
that.
like I'm 6'3" and I'm just a big guy. Like I'm 100% overweight. But like I could never in my lifetime like be 180 pounds.
But
There's no way.
You're not obese
I
either.
know, and I understand that. That's what I think. I think.
I can be 10 to 15 pounds heavier than I am right now
Yeah.
with 19% body fat
Yeah.
and be considered obese.
Yeah.
Because of the BMI chart.
Exactly. So how does so let's play into that for a second.
But to give you your answer, I would say again generalization. Don't take this as gospel, but I would say a healthy body percentage is somewhere between 15 to 20%.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go into that for a second. All right. We both have daughters, and we see like
Daughters?
Oh.
No, I have a son.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. I have daughters. Okay.
And you have a son.
I
Finally.
have daughters, and I finally have a son.
Congratulations to that in person.
So I have daughters, and maybe let's go into maybe a little bit of a kind of a crazy topic, but like you see like in social media and everybody like there's a lot of like unattainable things out there and very very unhealthy distractions and people that these young girls are looking up to. So you as a fitness trainer, like what would you tell a young girl that's on Instagram every day, seeing these Instagram models and wanting to just like wanting to be that way, and how does that turn into people going into eating disorders and things like that? What would you tell them?
Stop comparing yourself to others.
Yeah,
First and foremost, 90% of the stuff we see on social media is not real.
yeah. Internet's not real.
It's filters, it's angles, it's lighting, it's you can take the same girl in the same outfit and change the lighting and her body looks completely different.
Yeah,
You can change the angle and her body looks completely different.
yeah,
I'm gonna make sure that if I'm hitting a pose in a certain way with certain
yeah,
lighting, I want it to look my best.
yeah,
Very few people will, get in harsh lighting
yeah,
and let you see exactly what they look like.
yeah,
Um, but to anybody out there that is discouraged, doesn't feel motivated because of the influencers you follow, the people you see on TikTok, you see all these other people, and you're comparing your workouts, your progress pictures, you're comparing yourself to all these other people. First and foremost, they've probably been doing it twice as long as you've even thought about it. If they are in really good shape, they worked for it. Plain and simple, they worked for it. But quit comparing yourself. If I had a daughter and she had body dysmorphia or something like that, and she came to me and was sad and all this other stuff, first and foremost, I'm going to tell her, quit looking at other people. Quit comparing yourself to others. You are your own person. Love yourself for who you are. If you feel, if she's feeling, because I'm going to preface it and say that I have a daughter. The first thing I'm going to tell her is that she's beautiful, she's loved. Because if she's feeling some type of way, like you said, they're getting all these other outside influences. Well, it starts at home. They need to know that mom and dad love them.
yeah,
That because if that's broken, you've already
yeah,
headed down a bad path. And as long as she knows that, and she's comfortable in that, and she knows and she's confident in that, then the next thing is, okay, is this something you want to work on? I'm not ever gonna force her or my son, because people will ask all the time, oh, I bet Charlie's gonna be in the gym and da da da. Well, he already is. He loves being in there. And mostly because I'm in there, right? And it's what I do.
It's about creating like positive influences.
Absolutely.
Have you seen?
But I don't want to force it.
Yeah. So I don't know if this is real or not. You may know, but I see this video on pitching on social media all the time. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger has two sons. One of them is raised. On there says one of them was raised by Arnold, and the other one was raised by his mom. The one with Arnold, they're like riding bikes, and this kid is yoked, and then the one with his mom is fat or is overweight. Was that? I don't know if have you looked into that?
I've seen it.
Is that true?
I mean,
Yeah.
pictures don't lie.
Yeah.
The
So you
one
got
kid
the
is
gen-
overweight, and,
Yeah.
and then the other
Well, I
one.
just didn't know if that was some internet bullcrap.
No, it's
Yeah.
real. It's legit. I would say, I can't really speak because I don't know the whole situation.
Yeah.
Obviously, nobody does. But from an outside, and again, we're comparing others.
Yeah.
But obviously, the lifestyles are not the same.
Yeah. But I brought that up because it's like you have two boys with the same parents, the same exact genes, but one was raised by obviously one of the most famous people in the world, and obviously the most famous fitness person in the world, and then the other one was raised by his mom, and so like
Well, obviously, we don't know how much
yeah
how much influence Arnold had on the other boy.
yeah.
Um,
But that's what I mean. Like if you don't have that, it's all about life. It's all about choices. And so I guess right now we're talking about being dads, and and how
Well, it
we
all
install
goes
those
back
into our
to
children.
your original question was the discipline.
Yeah,
You know, I feel like, and I can't remember his name, but the one that looks like Arnold, the one
yeah,
that's always at Venice Beach,
yeah,
he's always working out. Um, you know, he was disciplined that this is what he
yeah,
wanted to do.
yeah,
More than likely, the other
yeah,
one was like, I don't want no part in that.
yeah,
So he
yeah,
just doesn't have the same
yeah,
lifestyle and discipline of staying fit, staying in the
yeah.
gym. Obviously, one wants to make his dad proud, and the other one probably doesn't care.
Yeah. I remember there was a quote that Arnold was talking about, like, some people ask him, he's almost 80. And people are like, why do you still work out every day? And he goes, well, asking me that question is the same exact as, why do I put my pants on every morning? Why do I eat breakfast? Why do you take a shower? Because it's just a part of me. It's who I am.
Hmm.
And do you think, like, at what time, like, I guess maybe playing back, but when did you make the decision that like this is,
What I do.
yeah, this is what I do? Because I mean, you got the job as a trainer, and yeah, that was a job for you, and I know you're passionate about it. But at one point, was it like I love this? I feel like I'm making an impact on people, and this is my calling. Andrew Rhinehart is a personal trainer, and my job is to help people and get this information out to the masses.
So I guess that's really a two-part answer, because there's a personal passion, and then there's a professional passion. For me, I mean, I fell in love with training. The When I finally started to see results, that because I was the 2000s looking at all the bodybuilding magazines. I was the guy that would go in Walmart and just stare at the magazines
Yeah,
and read and and stuff like that. That was before social media.
yeah,
So when I finally started to see the smallest result of what I had always wanted to look like, I was hooked.
yeah,
So that's the personal, and then professionally, when I realized that I could actually help people achieve the result that they did not think was possible. When I watched the light bulb come on for somebody, it happened this past week. It happens all the time, but it happened this past week. I had a brand new girl start and has literally never worked out a day in her life.
yeah,
And, we start doing something and immediately doesn't go right. And, when I first started, that would be frustrating because I'm like, oh, you're not getting it. How do I help you?
yeah,
Instead of looking at it as a teaching lesson of one, it's teaching me,
yeah,
one, to have patience, and to, okay, let's break this down, figure out where it's going wrong, and then start from square one.
yeah,
It's something as simple as teaching somebody their alignment of their own body. And for this example, we're training glutes. I'm teaching somebody how to hip hinge, and she only feels it in her back. Well, we do a few certain little cues, we change it, and all of a sudden, the light bulb comes on, and she's
yes,
like, oh my God, that's how it's supposed to feel.
yes.
I'm like, yes.
'Cause so many,
Watching that light bulb come on is the
yeah,
what gives me
yeah.
that, okay, let's find somebody else to do this with.
So there's so many, like what you just said about movements. Like I know when I'm in the gym, like, and working out, like I try to remember all those things that you taught me about when we're doing leg extensions or doing leg curls, like, toes up and in. Do you really feel it? Like, so many people I see guys in the gym every morning that they work out so hard. I'm talking, these guys are in there moving weights around
Hmm.
100%. These guys they walk out drenched, but they're not. But if
They
they
stay the
would,
same?
huh?
Do they stay
They
the same?
stay the same. There's a guy, and we'll talk about it after this. But you know who I'm talking. You know exactly who I'm talking about. In the morning, at the gym, that gym me and used to work out at. There's a guy that works out so hard. He's been in there. He's in there every single day, and he looks exactly the same as he did 3 years ago when we were in there. So talk to us about
What's the difference?
about like going in there and just moving weights around. Like you go in there and you can curl, you grab the 40s and you can curl them. But if you're slinging them up and dipping your shoulders, and if you're doing curls with your toes down, or you're doing lat pulls, without engaging and things like that. I remember like there's a guy at the gym that I talk to him every day about when he's gonna start his TikTok, because this dude is an animal. He's an older guy. He's 50 some years. He's probably 50 years old. Got gray hair, but this guy is the most shredded man you've ever seen. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And I remember when he was doing back pulls one day, and you walked up to him, and he does every workout. He does it so slow and just so focused, and he's just like hitting that. When he wants to hit a muscle, he works out that muscle, and that's why he looks the way he looks. But so, talk to us about when you go in, like people go in the gym and they just go in there and with no plan, and they just go in there and sling weight around, and they walked out, they leave out of breath and they leave sweaty. But what did they really like? Yeah, they probably burn some calories and better than sitting on the couch. But how would you take a person that has really bad habits, that's been working out forever, but hasn't really seen results, and they want to come see you? Tell me about that.
So first, I'll talk. I don't ever want to discredit anyone for working their butt off.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if the guy that still looks the same after 3 years, well, obviously he hasn't gained weight.
Yeah.
He hasn't lost in his health.
Yeah.
He's still actively pursuing it. He just might need a little bit of guidance to tweak a few things, because we all find these routines that we get in, and once we find something, we don't really like to change it. It's kind of like, if you find your favorite meal and it's your favorite, you're not changing it. That's what you're going to get every single time. But sometimes we need to try something different to achieve, what's the definition of insanity? Right.
We're giving no results.
Right.
We're
So
going and getting the same result.
it's trying the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Well, if it hasn't been working, now, if you're just trying to stay in shape, go for it.
Fine. Yeah.
But if you really want your body to change, and what you've been doing for 3 years isn't working, you've obviously got to try something different. What I'll say to the guy that does everything slow and meticulous is, one, he is concentrating extremely hard.
Yeah.
There's a difference in going in the gym and throwing weight around versus actually contracting muscle through load. I tell people all the time, if I had I hate using this word, but a specialty, it is teaching somebody how to contract muscle through a specific resistance or load, instead of just moving weight. Because if you just move weight, that's how you get hurt.
Is that the scientific, like, is that like what so when people ask me what we do for a living, we evaporate water. That's what we do. That's what at Homeway Construction, on the restoration side, like, what do you do for a living? We evaporate water. That's the bare minimum of what we do. And I guess, so say that again, like what you said, like, what is a scientific answer to what you do?
I teach people how to contract muscle through load.
Yeah.
Or a certain specific resistance.
Is that written down somewhere? It needs to be.
Maybe I should have a poster or create a shirt.
Yeah.
But because the thing is if all you want to do is move weight, okay, anybody can do that.
Yeah.
But anybody can get hurt too.
Yeah.
So half the time when somebody says, I'm not feeling it, or, this isn't working, most of the time, if I told you to slow it down or cut the speed down in half, so you're doing a bench press, right? The most basic movement that most people can understand. You're doing a bench press, and all you feel it is in your shoulders. which for most guys, that's exactly where they feel it. Most guys, unless they just naturally, either one, their body is created for bench press, or they naturally have just a big barreled chest that's just what takes over. Or you have weak shoulders. But most guys feel it in their shoulders and their triceps. They barely feel it in their chest. So you see guys, again, for 3 years, they bench the same weight, same reps, same everything, same speed, same tempo, and their chest never grows. The difference is if I told you to take that movement and let's say it took you 2 seconds to come all the way down, all the way up. And I told you, all right, count 6 seconds. The first thing you're probably going to have to do is lower the weight.
Yeah.
The second thing you're going to have to do is focus and think about, what am I feeling, right? Because if you're just moving weight, you're just doing that. There is no thought behind it. It's, I'm trying to move this weight, this bar from point A to point B as fast as I can. Okay, well, if I'm trying to build hypertrophy, which is building muscle size, the first thing I'm going to do is slow everything down in half. I mean, we're going to talk about famous people and people that do it right. Nick Walker is one of my favorite people to follow and watch because his training style and methods are absolutely picture perfect. There's not a single person on this planet that would look at his training and say he's doing that wrong. Yeah. Every single person would be like, "Oh wow!" Like, and some people don't like it because it's too slow. Yeah. There's some people that don't like that style of training because it's like, I'd rather just throw some weight around. Okay, great. If that's what you want to do and get strong, great. But if you want to build your upper chest, stop flat benching.
I saw Sam Sulek talking about that yesterday. He said he doesn't do flat bench, like almost never. It doesn't do anything for him.
So the flat bench is the number one exercise that has people tear a pec. Yeah. 1,000%. Yeah. Honey Rambo will tell you that all day long. Yeah. That's how Jeremy Buendia got hurt. Yeah. That's so many people tear a pec from flat benching. Yeah. In fact, the last time I tried to do it, just didn't feel the same. Yeah. So I quit doing it as well.
Yeah. I always do dumbbells. Almost never. I played around. I know you saw me the other day. I played around the flat bench the other day to see what I could.
I would tell people.
I
would tell people if you're gonna bench at all, whether it's barbell, Smith machine, dumbbells, whatever. I would, unless it's an actual machine built for it, if you're doing any type of bench, at least do like a 15% incline. Yeah. Because nobody can have too much upper chest.
Got it. Cool. That's something to think about. That's what Sam Sulek was talking about. Who's obviously that dude. He's became an internet sensation.
So the funny thing about Sam, I've always talked crap about him. Yeah. And not necessarily because he didn't know what he was talking about or anything like that. It was like I thought the same thing that I think a lot of people think about before was, all right, you talk all this, you do all this, you show your life and everything like that, but you're a bodybuilder, but you never stepped on stage. You're never going to compete. And then he finally said, all right, fine, I'll put everything on the line, because everybody talks about how he doesn't have to. Yeah. Like, the dude built 1 million followers on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, everywhere from just talking on camera.
He's rolling in money.
Right? And so if he didn't want to, he didn't have to. Yeah. But
was that never his goal? Did he not want to compete?
I mean, I can't say what I know the man was going to do or not.
You think he was just waiting till he was like 19?
Honestly, I don't know how old he is.
He's young.
He is young. But the thing, I don't think he's in his teens. I think he's like 22. Yeah. But the thing about, and I can even attest to this, is if you're going to, or if you're aspiring to be a bodybuilder, men's physique, whatever you want to call it, if you want to step on stage and do your first competition, especially as a small guy, you don't ever think you're big enough. And I'll never forget when Jay Cooper, shout out to Jay Cooper, told me, I told him, I said, look, I've always wanted to do it, and I said I wanted to do one before I was 30. And he said, this is your year. I was like, what? He was like, this is it. We're going to do it. And he was my very first coach, and he coached me through it. And the whole time I was like, I'm not big enough. I'm not big enough. And the truth is, you're never going to be ready.
Yeah.
So for him, maybe it was he didn't feel big enough. He didn't feel like he was ready.
Yeah.
And when he stepped on stage,
Yeah.
dude won his pro card
Yeah.
after his second show.
Yeah.
So
I feel like to want to be a bodybuilder and to be able to put that level of like it's a 100% game. You cannot. You're either 100% in or you're not gonna. Especially trying to be a pro. Like I've watched. I used to watch. I used to be way more into working out. I mean, I've got back in the gym pretty good now, but like back when I was in high school, like I was obsessed with like powerlifting and like I thought that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get into powerlifting and strongman more or less is what I really wanted to do.
I'm so glad you didn't. Your shoulders are not
Oh
healthy
yeah,
enough to
I
do
mean
it.
I've got man my so the man that taught, and this is what I'm gonna get into this, the man that taught me how to work out, okay, and him, his name is Martin Wachowski, and he is the most passionate, like one of the most passionate and disciplined people I've ever met in my life, and he's like the when you think of when you were in high school or young and a coach that you respected, but you hated until you became a man. And then you look back at those people and you say, man, Coach Wachowski was an asshole, but he taught me to be a man.
For sure.
He's the number one person that I think about. When I look back, and me and him are great friends, talk to him all the time. But it's just like just the stupid, what we thought was these stupid punishments that he would give us for doing stupid, like little stupid things, and he would punish the hell out of us for it.
But see,
And
in that moment, he was teaching you the discipline you were talking about.
Yes, exactly. He looked back and looking back, he was teaching us attention to detail and to not to like that the small things matter.
He was teaching you work ethic.
Exactly. And I look back at him.
That's what good coaches do.
Yeah, and so and he's the one I started training strongman with a little bit, just trying to play around in it. And I hurt my shoulder really bad, so I kind of had to stop. But like this man has tore everything. He is a walking surgery bill, but yet he continues every day.
That's what he loves.
He has a lunchbox with his protein shakes in it and his supplements in it, and he would. We were talking about like this was a while back. We were talking like he always tries to find like if he said if I see a pile of rocks on the side of the road, I'm like, how can I train with those? But like those type of people that are so passionate about it, like and I don't mean this in like a negative way, but like there's got to be something wired in them, like genetically, and like something's got to be wired different because you see like to be able to eat that way. To eat that much and to train that much and to not go out with your friends and not do anything because you got to go to the gym and spending the hours to prep your food. It's just, you got to be a little bit crazy. Mm-hmm. Like Ronnie Coleman, that man can't even walk today. He has to walk on crutches. And he said, I would not change one single thing about anything that I did.
A single thing.
Because that's just, that's who he is. And like, so that says a lot about like those type of people, like their passion for bodybuilding, their passion for fitness.
Somewhere down the road, something happened to them that created a mindset of just being bulletproof. Yeah. Of this is what I'm gonna do, no matter what, no matter what it takes. I don't care what I have to go through. There are just some people that are so driven by a certain purpose that there's nothing going to stop them. Yeah. For your coach, obviously I don't know him personally, but I would say that if he is so dedicated to his training, that's probably what he sees as keeping him alive.
That's exactly what it is.
You
rest.
He can't go a single day without doing something in that area because that's what makes him stronger, mentally tough. All of those things that if he didn't have it, probably wouldn't know who he'd be. Yeah. Anybody that Sam, Nick, anybody that's a bodybuilder that eats chicken and rice 6 times a day, doesn't go out to the clubs, doesn't party, literally is so dedicated to their training, their mindset is so bulletproof that most people see that as obsession, crazy. Like you said, there might be a screw loose, but the thing is they're so dedicated. People don't understand that level of drive, and to me, that's sad.
Yeah.
That you can't be so driven about something without somebody trying to find a negative
Yeah.
outlook on it.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, there's nothing but positivity to
Yeah.
that. They're so driven. Now, when you have a family, that's where things get,
Yeah.
you got to decide what's more important.
Yeah.
And for me, I'd made a goal that I was going to do a competition every decade. Right? It's every 10 years.
Yeah.
I was going to do one every 10 years. So I did one when I was 30, and I was going to try and do it until I was like 60 or 70. And then when Charlie was born, I was like, one's enough. I don't have anything else to prove. The whole thing it was never about a pro card for me. Maybe if I never had a family and I was single, who knows where I would be. But praise God, I'm not. But for me, when my son was born, I just realized that there's more things in life that are more important. And for me, I'd rather help 10 people step on stage that never thought they could, never thought they could build enough muscle, never thought that they could do that. That would be more rewarding to me to help everybody else do it than for me to do it. Because for me, again, back to the God, work, and family. Family is the most important thing. So I would say to anybody that has a goal that they don't feel is attainable, go for it anyways.
Yeah.
Just try. You never know. You never know what could happen if you never try.
Yeah.
But one thing's for sure: if you never try, you'll never get there.
Yeah. So let's go to a very challenging time in your life.
Okay.
Let's go to March of 2020. How did you know what happened in March of 2020?
That was COVID, wasn't it?
That was COVID.
That was lockdowns.
That was lockdown.
What's crazy about that is the fact that it actually happened.
Yeah.
Like, I was talking to somebody the other day about that.
Yeah.
That, like, we actually went through that.
Yeah.
There's some people that you talk about it and you're like, that's such a distant memory. But for some people, it's such a painful memory of how much we had to go through. And it's like, wow, that really happened.
Yeah. And like, I remember, so you were rocking and rolling. Where were you at before COVID? Where were you training at?
So basically I was traveling to people's houses. Me and my wife were in the apartment. So, I was using the apartment gym.
Yeah.
Basically it was just anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah. I remember you posting videos like you were working out on the landing at your apartment complex. Like you were setting up resistance bands on the railings and like doing stuff in your living room. Like
that was when
to keep the content going.
That was when COVID and the lockdowns happened and they closed the apartment gym.
Yeah. They closed every gym. Yeah.
I basically had to, in order to keep my business alive, I had to get really creative.
Yeah.
So it started at the tennis courts, and then it got too hot. And then basically, I actually told this story to somebody the other day that we literally took, we lived on the third floor of the apartments, and I actually set up a mini little studio outside of our apartments.
I remember that.
Actually, you mentioned Stephen Hoffman. He was one of them.
Yeah.
And I just
Bro,
set up.
How good is he doing now? You seen him lately?
He's lost a lot of weight.
Bro, he looks good.
I reached out to him the other day. But basically, I mean, I had 3 flights of stairs, so guess what? Stairmaster was included.
That'll work out for you.
So, I mean, literally, I just got super creative. And then, again, it just got too hot. Memphis in July is not fun. And so me and my wife talked about, all right, how can we pivot from here? And I'm just going to go ahead and say, you know, a lot of people look at COVID as one of the hardest things that they went through. COVID was the best thing that happened to me, from a business standpoint, because it actually forced me to pivot and build my own gym. So for me, it went from training outside, it's too hot, to we rented a single car garage at our apartment complex, and that was my very first gym. So basically, I got a squat rack that you own now,
Yeah, I do. Well, I sold it. I sold that too.
and
Yeah.
I got a squat rack.
Witten Baptist Church has that now.
Okay.
Yeah, you know Stephen Carter? I don't know. He bought it for his church.
So, but I got a rack, I got a bike, I got some dumbbells. I just got just the bare basics, and then I took 2 fans, and that was the air conditioning.
Yeah.
And then about 2 months later, I built my first gym.
Yeah. So let's talk about so obviously it was challenging for you, but you found a way. You found a way to pivot to make it still challenging nonetheless. But you found the positive out of it.
Yeah.
So
Well, I didn't have a choice.
yeah. So let's just talk broad entrepreneurship here. Let's talk about challenges that sometimes when like COVID or now AI is coming along and challenging a lot of people's businesses.
AI is wild.
Yeah, it is crazy. I use it every day. I use it every single day because it's a cheat code if you know how to use it.
It is.
And so COVID was obviously a challenge for you. It was a curveball, but you took the gyms being locked down. You took all that stuff and you turned it into a positive. So if somebody was an entrepreneur or wanting to build a fitness business or building any business, like what advice can you give them for when challenges like that occur? When you thought like when your business was, hey, I'm going to meet you at the gym. So how you took that and turned that into a positive.
Like I said, I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
It was, kill or be killed, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to the business. What I would say to somebody that comes up on any challenge that is going to take you out, I mean, that's when you find out what you're made of.
Find your grit.
I mean, are you going to put up or shut up? So for me, it was, how do I pivot and keep this going? And shout out to my beautiful wife that, dude, there's times that her advice goes so far.
Yeah.
She thinks of things that I just don't.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit here and take all the credit. She is, when you're married, they should be your partner. They should be your teammate.
Yeah. We're gonna get into that in a second. So you like this.
And but she was like, well, "What about this?"
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And from there, like I said, we got the first little gym.
Yeah.
But for anybody that is looking to start this, especially in the fitness space, I would just tell them, be sure that this is what you really want to do. And be sure that you really want to help people. There's so many people that I see nowadays that they lose 15 pounds. They do a fitness challenge, and then all of a sudden they're a personal trainer. It's not like that.
Yeah.
If you don't have a passion for people and a passion for helping people achieve something that you never even achieved. I've never lost 100 pounds.
Yeah.
I've never done a full marathon.
Yeah.
I've never been so intimidated to start a fitness journey, and had no idea where to start.
Yeah.
And trusted somebody else's guidance to get me there.
Yeah.
I just think there's too many people that they want to do something to make money, and I get that you need to um, provide, make sure you do it the right way. Make sure you truly have a passion for people. Because if you say you want to be a trainer or a coach or all of this just to make money, it's not going to work out.
Yeah. You got to feel a need and be passionate for that need. The money will come.
That's why I say, you know, I let God take care of the business side.
Yeah.
I take care of the people.
Yeah, that's what I look at too. So you're a business owner and you're a dad, and a husband. So tell us how do you, like I said, when Charlie came along, that changed a lot of things for you as far as your goals. So how does being an entrepreneur, business owner, a father and a husband, like putting all those together, like how does it change how does that mold you and how does that drive you to be to do what you do?
It's everything I am.
Yeah.
They are my why.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to ask me something that was going to make me emotional.
Yeah.
Um,
People like tears, bro. Give me some more views.
they are my why.
Yeah.
I am the man I am today,
Yeah.
first and foremost because of God, but
Yeah.
because of my family.
Yeah.
I think once you have a family, especially when you have a child,
Yeah.
do you really understand how much you are willing to go through for someone? Do you really understand unconditional love?
Yeah.
There's not a thing that little boy could do to make me not love him,
Yeah.
to make me not do everything I possibly can for him and his mom. That's what keeps pushing me to do what I do. Yes, I love working with people.
Yeah.
I love helping people do things that they never thought possible. But they're what keeps me going every single day. They're the reason I get up at 5 a.m. They're the reason that I don't get done until 8 p.m. at night. You know, when I'm trying to make a video, make content, when I'm trying to do all this, it has nothing to do with my social media following.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with trying to be the best trainer and trying to, you know, reach all these accolades, however you say that word. It has nothing to do with any of that. It is just making sure that those two are provided for and have everything that they need.
Yeah.
That's my why.
Found the need and it'll fill itself. So your wife is also an entrepreneur in the blue collar world.
Mm-hmm.
So how does y'all's business relationship go? You said she helped you a lot, you know, when you were trying to find your path after COVID and ideas like that. So, you know, your wife is in the, you know, hardscaping and pool. Is she still doing the pool stuff?
Actually, that's kind of been put on pause.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was in the pool business.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I honestly don't know whose work ethic is stronger.
Yeah.
Because that woman is a beast.
Mm-hmm. But she's got an entrepreneurial mindset. So
For sure.
So like with you being like her being an entrepreneur and you being an entrepreneur, like how do y'all help each other? Like obviously y'all are both gonna feel down and you're gonna feel defeated every now and then. But like with y'all both having that mindset and that drive, want to grow each one another's businesses, you know, on each side of it. But like you as a trainer and her as a blue collar entrepreneur, like how does her knowledge come over to you and how do you take yours to her to help her?
I would say we help each other more emotionally than we do professionally.
Do you think y'all help each other get through the emotional side of it, of the stress of it, as opposed to like, well, maybe you don't know too much about building pools and all.
I don't
sorts
know a
of-
thing about building
Exactly,
pools.
exactly. But you can. But when she's feeling down in the dumps about something, about the stress of life, y'all can help each other. Because
what
you
I would
understand
help
the stress
her,
of it.
what I would help her with business wise is like content ideas.
Yeah.
Making sure that like you got before and afters, showing what you do and why you should be the one that people should pick. My wife has so many different certifications that people have no clue. Like she's a licensed cosmetologist. She cut Lisa's hair. She did a 4-hour procedure on Miss Lisa the other day that I was just blown away. There's so many things. She is so talented. There's nothing she can't do. But how do we help each other? Communicate.
Yeah.
Like if you have a spouse and you don't have communication, I don't know what to tell you.
So there's a guy I used to work with, and not learning this cost him his marriage, and me and Becca talked about it on our podcast. Like, we never got like really bad, but I started feeling this way. He was in sales. He did retail sales, and so he would go to work all day, and all he did was talk to people all day, and he would get home, and he didn't want to talk to his wife because he's talked to people all day long, and that was happening to me too. I would be talking to people all day, and I would get home, and that was back when I was, pretty much a solopreneur. Like I only had like I didn't have a lot of help. Like when I got home, it was time to do the business end of my business because I've been selling all day and running projects. So when I got home, it was time to, I had to promote, I had to market, I had to do emails and things. So like getting home, like I never really went home.
Yeah.
So like with like how do you separate like where do you draw the line when you get like when you're done, like when do you, I guess with being a personal trainer, like
When do you
gotta,
go from
you got to start, you got people that come before work and you got people that come after work, so you have a very challenging thing. But like how do you start your day at 5 o'clock, and some days you're not ending till 8 o'clock, so where do you find,
when do you go from trainer to dad and husband?
Yeah.
So I'll say that I still struggle with that from time to time, but I think I heard something the other day that said you spent 9 hours at your job and you come home and you think that your job is done. When you went to your job because you're supposed to be a provider, when you get home, that's when you're a husband and that's when you're a dad. You're not husband and dad providing. You're just doing your responsibility. When you get home, that's when you need to give time to your kids and to your wife. And I think that, for me, it's when I shut the door to the gym, that's a wrap. That's it. Like my family has my full attention now. And what gets me in trouble is going back to the whole making content and videos and stuff like that. It's like, and I justify by saying, oh, well, I'm doing this to provide.
Exactly.
Well, it's time management, right?
I used to do the same thing. I'm working. Leave me alone. I'm working.
But what you're
how do you
telling,
think we pay these bills? How do you think we do all this?
But what you're telling your family is you're not more important. That this is more important. And yes, you do have to provide. And I think there's there again, going back to balance, right? There's a fine line of justifying certain things. But when your kids, when my son comes up to me and slaps my phone out of my hands, what is he telling me? He's telling me, I want you to pay attention to me. I don't care about that.
Yep.
He doesn't understand my social media. He doesn't understand me having to provide this and this. Yep. He only understands you're not working anymore and you're not playing with me.
Yep.
And
feel it every day.
I have to remember, again, what's my why? And I have to remember that if that is what drives me, but yet they're not getting the value from me, I'm failing. And so for me, it is putting away all distractions and making sure that both of them, not just my kids, not just my wife, but both of them feel that they're getting my attention.
Yeah.
If not, I'm failing.
Yeah. So what's something that Charlie's taught you? How old is he now?
He will be 4 in September.
Yeah. So a 3-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
My kids teach me something every day. So what's something impactful that Charlie's taught you he doesn't even know he taught you something. We're digging deep here, brother. Just,
My son has the biggest heart of any child I've ever seen in my entire life.
yeah.
My son has taught me, is teaching me what patience should really look like.
Yeah.
It's easy to lose your cool. It's easy to get angry. It's easy to go off because something isn't going the way you think it's supposed to go. You got to remember that they're imperfect humans.
Mm-hmm.
And it's our responsibility to raise them. But if he's getting a bad attitude or losing his cool at 3 years old, where did he learn that from?
Yeah.
So what has he taught me is, what example do I want to set? What do I want him to learn from me?
Yeah.
If he is learning anger, a bad attitude, when he faces a challenge and he gets too frustrated and wants to quit, he's teaching me what patience really looks like. Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny that you bring this up. He's teaching me how he needs to learn. And what I mean by that is, growing up, if my dad was teaching me something, he just showed me how to do it. He would do it and tell me, watch. I didn't learn that way. You can show me 5,000 times. But if you let me do it and walk me through it, let me do it, let me put my hands on it, I'll have it forever.
Yeah.
And what I'm learning is, when I tried to show Charlie something, most of the time I can do anything faster. Mm-hmm. But what's more impactful? What's more meaningful? Doing it so that he learns it, or just getting it done so it's over and done with? Yeah. And he'll tell me, no, Dad, let me do it. And what I realized is, he's teaching me how I needed to learn. Mm-hmm. That's how he needs to learn. Yeah. And so he's teaching me patience.
Yeah.
Of, okay, it's not about just getting the task done. It's spending time with him. Yeah. It's showing him, teaching him things that he'll take with him for the rest of his life. Mm-hmm. Instead of just, oh, will you put this together? Yeah. Well, yeah, I can do it. Yeah. Or can I show him? Yeah. It's the whole saying of, teaching a man to fish, mm-hmm. right? If you just buy him a fish, he's got a fish. Mm-hmm. If you teach him to fish, yeah, he'll be able to eat for a lifetime.
All right. So now apply those tactics into how you approach your clients, and how each individual person is different, and how do you teach them?
My approach with my clients over the years has changed. and evolved.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest things I think I've learned from most people get overwhelmed really easy. And especially when you change everything about their life overnight,
Yeah.
most people don't take that well.
That's the only thing that likes change is a wet baby. That's it. Hell, they don't even like that sometimes.
They don't know what a
Yeah.
baby don't know what they want at all. They know when they're hungry. They know when they're tired.
Yeah.
But for my clients, I tell them day one, we're going to keep it as simple as possible for as long as possible.
Yeah.
I would probably surprise people that for your first 2 to 3 weeks when you start with me, I don't even approach nutrition at all. And the reason is, unless you're one of those people that's a complete go-getter, nothing's going to phase you, throw the book at me day one and let's go. But most people are not that way. Most people, give me this step, let me learn this. Let's move on. Give me this step. It's kind of like my son. If I teach him too many things at once, or if I try to talk to him, he's a 3-year-old. If I try to talk to him for 10 minutes straight, after 30 seconds, his attention is gone. Yeah. So if you look at it like that for my clients, if I taught you macros, if I taught you training, I taught you all these other things, supplements, all these other things, everything that's included in a fitness quote journey. After 5 minutes, I've lost you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So for your first 2 to 3 weeks, we just focus on training. I want you to work on that first.
Yeah.
Keep it simple as long as possible. Yeah. And then, now along the way, I'm going to give you a little bit of tips. I want you to increase your protein. I want you to drink more water. The basics, right? And then after 3 weeks or so, now let's move into nutrition. Let's work on, meal plans and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I'm a client and I'm with you. And I've been working with you for 3 weeks, okay? And I haven't, so we're going to do a little circular raising here and just play this out in your head. If I'm a client of yours and I've been working with you for 3 weeks, 3 times a week for 3 weeks, okay? And I haven't, and because I haven't really changed the way that I eat or done more of that stuff, and all I've been is tired and sore. How do you keep them motivated to go? Because I know once you start seeing results, that's when you really get motivated and you really lock in. So as a person that's really never, we'll take your very novice person, somebody's never never worked out at all.
Okay. And
they've been with you for 3 weeks and all they feel is tired and sore. What do you tell them to keep them going and to start doing the food part of it? How do you keep them from getting discouraged?
So first and foremost, if somebody has never worked out and they start with me 3 times a week, in 3 weeks, they would see results. Yeah. Because you're going from a completely sedentary lifestyle, which means no activity whatsoever, to exercising 3 days a week. Your body has no choice but to change. Yeah. Now, have they lost 50 pounds like they probably want to?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But you're going to see some results. I think some people have a good expectation. The best clients I get are the people that have zero expectation because they're a complete blank canvas. They're not expecting this or this. One of my favorite clients right now, I don't want to show favoritism or anything, but because I love every single one of my clients. Yeah. But for my guy Gary, when he started with me, actually just did a video. I put him on the spot the other day. Yeah. And I told him, I said, I'm about to put you on the spot. He's like, all right. Yeah. On his first day, on his way to the gym, he almost turned around 3 times. He finally walks in and he says, I'm giving you 8 weeks. After 8 weeks, if I don't lose a single pound, I tried. Thanks for your effort, but I'm done. This ain't for me. I was like, okay. After about 6 weeks, he had already lost 30 pounds. And after that, he was hooked. Like, that was it.
Yeah.
And along the same lines, he was sore. But that lasted about 2 weeks. If you're completely sedentary and never worked out a day in your life and you go to exercise, you're going to be sore.
100%.
That's the body's adaptation to exercise. You're putting it through stresses that it's never been through before. It's just like growth. You're gonna be sore. If you go to a place you've never been, there's gonna be some type of soreness. There's gonna be some type of effect that you feel. You know, when you started your business, I guarantee you it wasn't comfortable.
Hell no.
You know,
Terrible.
you experience growth pains, just like anything else that's new in life. But how do I keep them going? Remember your why. Why did you step in here day one?
Yeah.
You know, have we gotten to whatever goal it is that you want to achieve? Probably not in 3 weeks, but we're way closer than we were 3 weeks ago. Or like I tell people, a year ago when you were sitting on the couch just thinking about this.
Yeah. Now is that why? Is that something that you have that you do with intent when you first start with them? Is that like a mandatory thing? Like y'all have that discussion
Of
like what is your why? Like what is your goals? Like
absolutely.
yeah. So that's the first like before
Before you even come in the gym on the very first phone call when we're talking, unless I know you.
Yeah.
If you're a complete stranger that found me on social media, recommended me through a friend or anything like that, what that first phone call, why do you want to work with me?
Yeah.
That's the very first question I ask. What makes you want to work with me? Well, because of this or this or this. And okay, how bad do you want that?
Yeah.
And that conversation evolves over time it's called personal training.
Yeah.
It's not just called trainer, it's personal training.
Yeah.
And to some people, I think some people look at it that it is like I'm too invested, but I have a personal relationship with every single person that I work with.
Yeah.
I have an invested or vested interest in their future with whatever it is that they want to do. I want to help them succeed in whatever area they want to accomplish, whether they want to lose a certain amount of weight, they want to have a certain body type, whether it's aesthetic purposes, whether it's health. You just got the notification that you're pre-diabetic. We need to work on those numbers. We need to get you healthier. Whatever that looks like, that's what I want to help you achieve. And I want to get to know you to help you achieve that. Yeah. What I've learned is the more I get to know someone, I learn how to push them.
Yeah.
And going back to the whole one size fits all, I used to be the trainer that screamed at everybody. I was the drill instructor. I was you either do it my way or get out. And I hate looking back on that person. Granted, I've learned, but I hate looking back on that person because there were so many other people that I could have helped that I didn't. Yeah. I did not see the opportunities that I had in front of me. Instead, I looked at it in a prideful way. I looked at it as, this is the way people should work out. This is what you should do, instead of, how can I help you? Instead, I just looked at it as, you're going to do what I say.
You think that's what sets you apart?
I think so. I've asked people. Actually, I just started working out with somebody after 8 years. He came to me back at LA. Outside of Lisa, the only other person that has ever come back to me from LA. Yeah. And he had worked with another trainer. And I asked him, why did you come to me? He said, because you care. The other trainers that he had been with would tell him, I want you to do this, this, and this, and walked off. And I couldn't believe that people are treated like that.
Well, it's like, especially if they're at a commercial gym, they're just you become a number. You become a number, and you become a commission.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's again going back. It's for the money. It's not for the person.
And there's people going to be coming in that door all the time. And if you go to LA Fitness and you get a bad personal training experience, that person can leave and go to Crunch and get a new clientele and get new clients. Mm-hmm.
But the
person talks bad about LA. I went to LA Fitness and it was garbage.
Well, even more so, that might put a bad taste in their mouth for just personal training in general.
Yeah.
And instead, they decide, okay, I'm just going to try and do this on my own.
Yeah.
They fail, or they get hurt.
Yeah.
And then they realize, it's impossible. I can't do it.
See, so that makes a good point. And because I do the same thing. Like, I want to elevate the industry. Because if the industry is healthy, then your business can be healthy. If people, me and Tiger talk about it all the time about redefining what people think about contractors. Because everybody thinks, like, most people, when you think of contractor, the first thing that they think of is scammer that comes to my house, takes my money, runs off. That's what everybody thinks about contractors. And
everybody that's at a bad contractor.
Yeah, but that's why, and people are so timid about contractors. That's why we do a lot of stuff about like who we are. Like when you go on our social media, like you see us. You don't like you see us. You see a lot about our projects, but you see stuff about us and about our families and about the people that work here, because we want to become as Homeway, like that. We're not just a construction company. Like we're a family, and I think that's what you've built is that when people think of like Rhinehart Fitness, they think of, well, I train with Andrew. I don't train with, who's your trainer? It ain't Rhinehart Fitness. It ain't LA. It's Andrew. Mm. Andrew's your trainer. But how many people on that you train with on a regular basis, how many of them were like personal referrals or friends or people you've known for a long time, and how many of them were kind of complete strangers who you became a relationship with strictly through training? The 50-50, 60-40, like?
I would say the majority of the clients that I have now, complete strangers.
Yeah.
Either saw me on social media, saw a video that was shared, a friend of a friend. Very few people that I actually have known for a long time. I mean, I knew Alicia for a while, but it was kind of the same lines. Like, I knew her, friends of friends. We all had kind of like mutual friends, but it's not like we ever hung out or anything. So, as of right now, I don't work with anybody that I've actually known.
Yeah.
Not off the top of my head, anyway. So yeah, I think just about probably the majority of people I have has been, either a referral or social media.
Yeah. So, like, let's go into like, the social media and the advertising. So how do you stay, like when you were talking before we got started, you talk about doing your TikToks and things like that. Like, how do you? I struggle with it too. Like I know I come up with cool ideas about things, but like making it happen is hard. But luckily, like I have Ryan and I have a team to like help me with these things.
I wish I had a team.
Like you have I'm a visionary. Like I can come up with these cool ideas like this whole podcast thing. Like all these microphones and cameras and all these lights and everything like that. Like this is just my idea. Like my idea, I'm a visionary and I can put things on paper, but I don't know how to hook all this stuff up. I don't know how to get that mixer board and get it all put together and using Streamlabs. I don't know how to do all that, but I have people that can. So tell me about like how are you doing it with a one-man show? Like
I do a lot of research.
using CapCut and using these different things. And how do you stay authentic while you do that?
I do a lot of research.
Yeah.
A lot of research. It's funny. I was talking to my dad the other day, and as a kid, you have this, when I grow up, I want to be this.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny is I always said I wanted to be a graphic designer. And I just realized, literally like this past week, me and my dad were talking, and I said, you know what? I kind of am. Like, I make all kinds of content and stuff like that, and doing stuff like that. That, I just do a whole lot of research. I don't have a team right now. One of the greatest compliments I get on that side of things is when people ask me, who does your social media? Who makes your videos? And I'm like, this guy.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, really? And I was like, yeah. I mean, I don't think my stuff is that good. I don't think I have like, quote, professional grade quality. But every time I try to make a video, I try to make it look professional, but I also try to make sure that I provide value.
So do you have like do you have a schedule of like, or like, do you create content like with intent, or do you just like do it whenever you feel like it?
Off the cuff.
Yeah.
I need to build a schedule.
Yeah.
But let's talk about like things that I want to learn. I want to learn how to batch content.
Yeah.
And so that it posts every 2 days, every 3 days, or every day, twice a day, whatever. Like I just sit down and I make 3 hours worth of content, and it's done for the month.
Well, this girl back here can help you with that.
That would be lovely.
She'll help you with it.
That would be lovely.
She can help you do all that. There's a couple different apps and websites and stuff that we use to, you post one thing, like Social Pilot, you put it in there and it posts everywhere. You can schedule up. So, for instance, she's going out of town. She's going to Japan for 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. My entire marketing department is on autopilot while she's gone, because she's been working the past 2 weeks to set up, to make sure we had enough content, to make sure that everything was queued up, on schedule, to be able to where she could leave and it'd be on us.
That's why we're here on a Sunday.
Yeah, so that's why we're here on a Sunday, because I'm
go.
trying to make sure we have enough.
Yeah.
So while because this podcast isn't going to air for 2 weeks,
Right?
Because we're trying to get it in, and that's just like, that's business. When you got moving parts, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
So if I could give you some advice, maybe it's like take some, like, dedicate some time to it, like for like make it, because that is impactful in your business. That's work too. It's you make your money while people in your gym, but you have to. But the people are there because of a lot of it because of your content. So
for me, it really goes back to how do you go from trainer to dad and husband?
Yeah.
Because if that time was already taken care of, I don't have to worry about it when I get done. Yeah. Right? So I'm training almost 8 to 11 hours a day. So I don't really have time.
Every block?
Almost. Yeah. I mean, like, Tuesdays is literally 11 straight.
Yeah.
I don't even have time to pee.
Yeah.
So, like, literally I'm doing anywhere between 50 to 55 sessions a week.
Yeah.
So trying to put time together so that I put all of that content together. Yeah. I literally try to, and that's another reason why I started doing the TikTok thing, because it makes the video for me in a way. Yeah. Instead of trying to record on myself and all of that stuff. Like, I go TikTok live and it takes that video and I can download it and then, right? But otherwise, when I'm done, I'm trying to make sure that I am, because I look at my social media as kind of like a billboard. And if I didn't post anything that day, that billboard's blank, right? So how much are people paying for a billboard that you see on the highway that's blank? That's a lot of money being wasted, right? Yeah. So for me, it's not money, it's an opportunity wasted. Yeah.
So when is, like, so let's talk about, like, how do you charge do you do a by the session? Is that how you charge people? Mm-hmm. When's the last time you raised your prices?
Maybe 2 years.
So let me ask this. Maybe it's a tough question, but and I'm having to learn this right now with my business of finding diminishing returns in marketing, and like as a and one of my good friends, Dustin Smith, told me this about plumbing. Like if you're in plumbing, if you're on your service side, if you're booked out more than 3 days, that means you're too cheap. Have you? All right. So let me maybe less damning question, but where do you as a business owner find the value in like how much you're charging per session to your amount of the demand? Does that make sense? Like if you're charging right now if you're charging, I can't like say you're charging, are you doing hour sessions?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what is if you'll tell me like what is an hour? Is everybody the same?
Mm-hmm.
What does an hour cost for your time?
I charge $50 a session.
Okay, so $50 an hour. Okay, so that now we're getting into some sticky business stuff for a second. If you took that to $60, how much would you still 100% feel like that person's getting $60 worth?
So this is where I've always had a problem with
I'm gonna
this.
make you uncomfortable for a second.
No, it's not uncomfortable. I guess it's just being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Being honest just about myself
Yeah.
in general. I've been told by multiple people that I don't charge enough.
Yeah.
But I look at it from an emotional side of do I offer, am I that valuable?
Yeah.
Do I provide, does my service provide the value to that ticket? Where people say, I should do this or I should do this. And I look at it as, will I be able to help the people that I want to help because they can't afford me? Instead of what is my value that I'm bringing to the table? So it really kind of comes down to believing in myself. And that's something that I've struggled with for a long time.
Yeah, that's. Well, I think that you doing 50 plus sessions a week, I think that answers your question of whether or not you're valuable, or whether or not people see value in you. If you have that many people a week, you're booked out 100%. Then there's I think there's a different and we won't get into it too deep. But I think one thing you need to look at is like number one, do you need to increase your prices in order to maybe curb the demand a little bit. That's one way you could do it. Or you can say, all right, well, we're gonna, and because like you said, you want the people to be able to afford you. Okay. And you want to help the most people may not be able to afford if you went to $70 a session. Some people can afford it. Some people can't. But how can you still keep that $50 ticket and give them value, but maybe not as much value as the person that was able to pay that $70 for a whole hour of your time? Maybe it's still $50, but it's two people a session or something like that. Just something to think about for your business.
Oh yeah.
How can you still reach the people?
Well,
but still able to do what you have to do financially.
I mean, I'm literally like 2 people away from being on a waiting list.
Exactly.
And what's crazy is I when I realized that, I was like, I didn't realize like I would be here so quickly. But I'm forced to pivot again, and one, within the next year, God willing, we're going to start to build my next facility. And then that's when things will really change. Yeah. And I'm kind of like all the other companies that started in a garage, right?
You ever see that thing that said, Google started in a garage? Apple was started in a garage. This thing was started in a garage. So you ever want to build a successful company,
Starting a
Starting in
garage.
the garage. I started in my storage room that was in my carport, so I guess it's kind of there.
What's funny to me is what I thought was the drawback to my quote gym actually has been the biggest selling factor because it's private.
I was going to ask you about that next.
People look at it as a therapy session. If I was in a public gym, half the people I work with probably wouldn't work with me. And it's not because of me, it's because everybody else.
Because people go to you see it all the time, people making fun of the fat guy at the gym. Because he's sitting there, you don't know what he's been through, or the really skinny girl or skinny person, people say, that person needs to eat. They don't know what they're going through, and people judge people so much. I think that's why, like, it's just a people thing. But I do like when I go to the gym, like I don't like a full gym. This is maybe a weird thing about it. Like nobody likes going to the gym when it's super packed.
No.
But like I don't really like working out 100% by myself. Because for me, like I work out to be healthy, but it's still a looks thing. So
Yeah.
like especially when there's like, this is really strange, but like there's some pretty, like the 6 a.m. at Lakeland, there's some pretty big boys in there. And so like I see those guys and I'm like, you watching them and seeing
It's motivating.
seeing the workouts that they're doing, like seeing the different movements that those guys are doing. Like for me, it's like, man, I'm gonna go try that. I want to go do that. I'm gonna go try that movement or go try to do that. Or man, that guy's getting, man, I'm stronger than, man, you see that guy over there and like, dude, I'm stronger. Like that guy's huge, but like I'm stronger than him. I'm gonna go try that. Things like that. That's what that motivates me, seeing the.
And most of the time, people are intimidated to ask that person for help. When, yes, there's some a-holes in the gym, and if that's the case, just work out at home. But most people that are in the gym that have worked hard, they'll help others. Like how do I do this without getting hurt? I want to try this, but Like, don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, that's what's cool about, I work at ATC Lakeland, and that 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. crew that's in there, like the same guys and girls every day. Like, I talk to these people all the time, and like it's kind of crazy. Like, this was a couple months ago. Somebody walked in, they were like, "Man, I seen you on TV yesterday." And, it's all in my commercials. I thought that was really cool. And there's a lot, man. There's a lot. Mostly blue collar guys and business people work out in the morning. So it's a lot of my so-called like competitors. Nick Salmon's like with Truvine is, I think he's changed his times now, but he's technically my competitor, like direct competitor. But me and him talk all the time. Like we talk business, like how we give each other advice, and it's pretty cool. Like in the mornings, like everybody knows what's going on, and the people are so like the morning people are super passionate about it, and they don't miss. And there's people of all walks of life in there. You got teenage girls and teenage boys in there working out before they go to school, and you've got retired guys in there working out, and you've got blue collar business guys like me working out in there, and it's a pretty cool mix. It's a pretty cool mix.
Anybody that's working out at 5, 6, 7 a.m., those are the people that are driven.
Yeah.
Because they're getting it done before work.
Yeah.
That's how they start their day.
That's why I like it. And I feel like with me, like, I work, that's the only time I know I can work out most of the time. Like, because I don't know, a lot of times know what my afternoon's going to look like. And then, like, on the afternoons, like, that's when I want to go home. I want to go home and be dad and be husband.
Yep.
So, like, if I work till 5 or work till 4, and then by the time you get to the gym, it's 4:30, and you work out for an hour, it's 5:30, and then you got to get home, and you got to change clothes, and you still got to cook dinner and spend time. That's why I just try to knock it out.
I think that's why most guys, The Rock, Mark Wahlberg, all the guys that work out before the sun ever comes up.
BTSU, baby.
That's why they work out early in the morning, because when the sun comes up, the rest of their time is allotted. It is work. It is, like, for me, it feels very selfish if I have worked all day long. Let's say I get done a little early. I get done at like 5 or 6, and I haven't worked out that day. I could go work out, or I could go spend time with my family. If I go work out, I feel so selfish that the time that I have, I could give them, I'm going to take for myself. So instead, I'd rather wake up early, get it done before they ever wake up. That way, when I'm finally free.
Yeah, you're not losing any time with them. They're still asleep.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about your gym. Like your gym is completely unconventional. Like you do some of the craziest like freaking connects toys. Like what was the like it looks like when you put stuff together, it's like like the 1985 like erectors kit. Like the craziest stuff I've ever seen. And Ryan, when you do this, when you post this, like go find some of his content. She's gonna put some pictures
Okay.
of some of this shit you put together to make these movements, like the chest press and leg presses, and like obviously when you go to a commercial gym, there's three different kinds of calf raisers. There's three different machines that do leg extensions. There's three different machines. There's two different bench press machines. There's a lay down. There's a stand. There's everything, and you're able to recreate that in your gym with different attachments. So tell us about your gym and like. How do you like? I see some of the stuff you put together. I'm like, bro, how did he think of that to put that together? So walk us through like, how did you set up your gym? Because you've turned your gym over 5 times. Like the only thing you have left in there is the what you call Hell's Harley. I don't know, that may be the fan bike in there. But like, how have you built your gym and to be able to be in a garage but be able to give somebody a full experience?
So obviously, being in a garage, you're limited by your space. My gym would be 1,000% different if I had twice the amount of space.
Yeah.
But being that I have, what is it, 400 square feet?
Yeah.
It's a 2-car garage. So that's
Yeah.
like pretty much it, right?
About 20 by 20 ish.
Yeah, so
what
it's
most 2-car garages are. Yeah.
So
About 20 deep and
Right.
18-foot wide.
So somewhere close to that. I had to get really creative on what equipment would maximize the space. I knew I wanted a Smith machine. I knew I wanted a functional trainer, which is a cable machine. I knew I needed a leg extension, leg curl. Because yes, you can recreate that through a cable, but it just doesn't work as good. And then having what you're talking about are the jammer arms.
Yeah.
Or lever arms. People call them all different things. But people ask me that all the time, like, how in the world did you... I'll never forget. Actually, you're the one that said this. We were at ATC, and you said, word for word, you said, do you have a little book of all the shit that you come up with? And that was before I ever had my gym. Because like we were probably using bands or something like that.
Those freaking monster walks. Oh my God.
So
I've never been so sore in my life.
You know, when I say that I believe God gave me a gift, I think he gave me a gift of creativity in that space. Understanding how the body works, understanding movement patterns, understanding resistance profiles, how to make it harder or how to make it easier. You can use bands for both. I can make it so that the resistance is easier at the top or harder, right? So with the arms, I basically think about, first and foremost, what do I want to train? Okay, I want to train chest. Okay, what part of my chest? I want to train upper chest. I want to create a machine that would mimic an incline chest press. Yeah. And figuring out, I call it the lab. So when I go in there, I'm in the lab. I am creating machines. I'm creating something that targets a specific muscle. And then after I've perfected it on myself, then I use my clients. So there's really not a single time where I have a client do something I haven't done, because I want to know how it feels first. Because again, I'm all about safety. I'm not going to put you on something that I'm not sure about. So, how do I come up with it? It honestly, man, it just comes to me.
Yeah, that's crazy. So we're kind of coming up on time, so we get about 15 minutes left. So we're gonna go through some quick questions, just not some kind of some funny stuff.
All right.
Just some quick burners. All right. Dumbest gym myth you've ever heard?
Ooh. Gym myth.
Like workout myth, like something that people say you should do that you should not do, or that say works and doesn't work, or something along those lines.
The anabolic window.
Yeah.
And that
What is that?
you have to make sure to eat protein 30 minutes or an hour after working out.
Yeah.
That like if you don't do it, you're gonna miss your gains.
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
Yeah.
It's not true. There is a window, but it's like 5 hours long.
Yeah. It's not 30
But the
minutes.
fact that I have to eat right after the gym or I'm gonna lose my gains, stupid.
Dude, I didn't know that. Like I thought, like everybody's like, holy shit, I gotta get my protein shake. Gotta chug it right now. It's like I'm at 28 minutes.
Or stop eating carbs after 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's not true.
Doesn't matter.
Or carbs are the enemy.
Yeah. Doesn't
Not
matter.
true.
Yeah. All right. What is the most underrated piece of home gym equipment? Or something that somebody can do at home that is
Bands.
valuable. Bands.
Bands. And every client that I have will tell you that they hate bands more than anything else in my gym.
Why?
I think one
You made them do pull-ups with on their foot and it
one of the reasons
snapped them.
one of the reasons I like bands, especially for beginners, is there's no there's no load to the spine. If I drop a band, I'm not going to get hurt.
Yeah.
If I drop a dumbbell,
Yeah.
different story. If
Yeah.
I drop a barbell, it is very low impact.
Yeah.
And it burns like fire.
Yeah.
We can do 50 reps on a shoulder raise with a very, very light band, and you will cuss me out for 2 days straight.
Yeah. So
So I would say most underestimated bands,
just
because you can get a micro band
yeah.
that's like 15 pounds of tension, and you can get a tractor tire band that's like 200 pounds of tension.
Yeah. And it's something you can have that and you go
And you can work your entire body.
Yeah, and you can go on vacation, you can stuff those in your suitcase and no matter where you're at, you could
But
get
you know what's
something.
funny? Unless you're Lisa Caldwell, you're not going to work out on vacation.
Yeah.
Everybody says they will. But unless you're like,
Or if you're traveling for business or something like
unless
that.
you're
like,
competing
yeah.
and it has to get done,
I
I tell most people, enjoy your vacation.
I'm terrible about that. I always pack workout clothes and say I'm gonna go and then
Yep.
I
You might
like
go once.
Once or twice and I'm like and then the night before you
Just be realistic.
The night the night before you're on vacation, you ate a good dinner and you sat on the patio drinking with everybody and you're like you stayed up till 1 o'clock in the morning and you're like, nah, that's not gonna happen.
First of all, if you're drinking on vacation, nothing you do from an exercise standpoint is going to work.
Yeah.
Because your body can't digest anything until it gets rid of the alcohol.
Yeah. Good one. Good one. So, what is your favorite and your least favorite like pre-workout, whether it be like food or supplements, and then and post? Like, what should somebody do? Okay, let me ask this: what is the best, like, if they didn't want to take a supplement, what's the best thing they should do before they work out to get energy or whatever? And what is the worst? And same thing for after.
So the worst thing you can do is not eat at all.
Yeah.
A lot of my clients find out the hard way that if you don't eat before a workout, you can pass out, throw up, or both. Pretty sure I've made you do that.
Yep. Yeah, you started having me eat something before I came because you said I would get an energy dump. Like I'd get about 30 minutes in and I'm done, even though I took pre-workout. Like,
Well, what happens is your body crashes.
Yeah.
And when you don't have any nutrients to facilitate the workout, you have no energy. So all of a sudden, you're running a car on empty, and you're trying to make it 50 more miles. It's not going to happen. Your body's going to break down.
Gary Brecken talked about it. They said he talks about that. He said there's like a 30-30-30 thing that he teaches people. It's like 30 grams of protein, 30 minutes before a 30-minute workout is good.
It also depends on what time you're working out, right? Like if you're working out at 6 o'clock at night or you're working out at 6 a.m. If you're working out at 6 a.m., most people find it hard to have breakfast before training. So I'm not going to tell you to eat a whole breakfast. I'm probably not even going to tell you to eat protein. I'm probably going to tell you to eat like an apple and some peanut butter or some rice cakes and honey. My favorite pre-workout, quote, meal, if I'm working out in the morning, is I'm going to have rice cakes and honey. Digest super quick. You're going to get a really good pump.
I've started taking, like, my little weird routine I do in the morning. Like, I'm a 6 a.m. guy. So I wake up at 4:30, chug as much water as I can get in me for like chug half a bottle of water, and then I take these. Have you heard of Perfect Aminos? You heard of those? So I take 5 Perfect Amino pills, and then I just chill out for 30 minutes. Go back, lay on the couch, and just chill out for a little while. And then at 5, that's when I take my Then I'm hydrated, and I've got those Perfect Aminos in me, which is getting my stomach turning. And then that's when I take my pre-workout, because I was finding like I would take my pre-workout on an empty stomach and that's it. So literally that's the only thing in my stomach was that much of freaking hot extreme, whatever, the 8 ounces of it. It's literally the only thing in my stomach. And I was getting, as soon as I get to the gym, I was fidgety and I was getting sick. I was puking. I was throwing,
of course you were
getting nauseous as soon as I got there. So I found that, so the Perfect Amino pills, They get my stomach turning a little bit, and the water gets everything moving a little bit. So that when I take my pre-workout, that's not the only thing in my system, and it makes me I think I found my groove. Like that's my morning thing.
I would recommend you to get like a hydration drink to sip through your workout. One of my favorites is the Body Armor hydration.
Well,
they're a little.
I chug hydrogen water. That's what I do. I take this, I eat this in my hydrogen water bottle, puts hydrogens in it, and then I just pour this in my water bottle. Like I just take a Dasani water bottle with me into the gym, but I just pour this off into it, and that's what I drink the whole time that I'm in the gym.
So how does that hydrate you outside of just water?
I mean, I guess there's no electrolytes or nothing like
right.
that in there.
That's my point. So what I'm saying is add like, even if you just get like a liquid hydration or the packets or whatever and pour it in there, because that's going to give you that, again, that's going to hydrate you throughout your workout. So like the pre-workout and everything, it's good to get the engine started, but for most pre-workouts, they're not going to sustain you through the whole workout. And that's where,
because most of them are just garbage.
Well, that's where carbs and stuff like that before, like, an hour, most people can't do 30 minutes. So I would do like maybe an hour or so before you train to have some type of quick carbs that's going to digest pretty quickly. It's going to give you some energy to get through your workout.
All right, so what's
post?
What's post?
Obviously, it's easy to have a protein shake. Especially from a convenience.
You have a favorite brand or maybe
for protein shake?
Yeah,
Fairlife.
Fairlife?
Yes, but for me, I'm biased because like the older
What's special about it?
Well, the older I get, the lactose intolerance is not fun. So the Fairlife is actually lactose free. So they do not bother my stomach whatsoever. 30 grams of protein and it tastes like chocolate milk.
Yeah. And what's the worst thing? What's the worst thing somebody could do after working out?
Not eat.
Not eat.
Yeah, your day's gonna be bad. Like, even though I say, the anabolic window is stupid, that's just from you're going to lose your gain standpoint. But you should eat at least an hour after you work out. Otherwise, you're going to feel...
From a feeling standpoint.
Well, your energy's already depleted.
Yeah.
And you need to replenish yourself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to be bad.
Yeah. All right, 2-part question. What is the lift that you hate the most because it
burns,
because it sucks?
Sore.
And then what is a lift? And I think you already answered this question earlier. What is the lift that people do that is like either bad for them or doesn't really do anything at all, but is like popular?
So the one I would say that's the most popular that depending on your technique and the way you do it, that you should stop is hip thrusts. And it's just the way you do them. Especially for all
Talking about like feet on the floor, back on the bench, like hip thrust weight.
yeah, but it's the way you do it.
Yeah.
For all my ladies out there, if you're watching this and you do hip thrusts and you scoop your butt under you when you do that, please stop. You're gonna hurt yourself. It is a hip press, not a hip thrust. And what's happening that we're finding out through more research, studies, and just having our own clients do it is that when you scoop your butt, most girls say that they feel it in their back.
Yeah.
It's because you're using your back. You're not using your glutes. You might feel it in your glutes, but just because you squeeze your butt does not mean you're actually working your glutes. Favorite exercise?
That you hate, but you know it's doing good for you.
I'm going to have, they're both legs.
Yeah.
Nordic curls.
Yeah.
I started doing those a couple of months ago. They are absolutely awful.
And what is that?
Nordic curl is when you put something behind your ankles.
Yeah.
You have your knees either on the floor or on a bench or a box.
Yeah.
Your feet, your ankles are locked down. How do I make this make sense without showing you? Yeah. So you're in a kneeling position.
Yeah.
All right. Your ankles are locked down and you just bend at the knees or the hips.
Yeah.
So you're basically leaning over
Yeah.
and coming back up.
Oh, I know some of that.
And so basically you can do it one of two ways. You can do it more for hamstrings or more for glutes.
Yeah.
Both of them suck.
Yeah.
But are really good for knee health. Yeah. If you have bad knees, you want to start doing Nordic curls. The other one, and this goes for everybody in the gym, is Bulgarian split squats. Yeah, that's like a golden rule everybody knows.
Yeah.
Bulgarian split squats, you know that they're gonna work, you know that they suck.
Yeah, they do. They said it's like doing abductors. It hits that weird inside leg muscle that nobody ever works out unless you try to work it out.
I have guys do leg extensions, and I tell them to pull their knees in just a little bit because most guys, especially bigger guys, they sit with their knees like crazy wide open, so they don't use their adductors, right? Their inside thighs. So when I tell them to do leg extensions, and mainly it's an alignment thing, right? Because their knees are like pushed out. You even do it. Yeah. Their knees are pushed out. If I have them bring them in maybe 6 inches to where their alignment's good, their knees are fine, their thighs will be shaking like an earthquake. And it's because they're not used to using them.
Yeah. Favorite cheat meal?
Chinese.
Chinese food. You do a lot of Chinese food.
Chinese.
Yeah. What specifically? Just anything saucy and ricey?
My all-time favorite Chinese meal, we don't have anymore. Sushi, when they went out of business, I was so sad, was their I would get their honey chicken. Yeah. But the guy, I would get it every week to the point when I would call him. As soon as I would start talking, he would finish my order. Yeah. But I would get honey chicken, make it spicy with pineapple fried rice.
That sounds fire.
It is so good.
All right. What is your biggest gym pet peeve? Like, what is somebody people do in the gym that just drives you crazy?
Something in the gym that drives me absolutely
like what
nuts.
is something what do people what's something that somebody does in the gym?
It's so funny because I haven't really been in a public gym in such a long time. Yeah. Because I don't really have a reason to leave my gym. Yeah. But public gym, most annoying thing. One would either be, re-racking their weights,
Yeah.
expecting somebody else to clear off the bar.
Yeah.
You're asking a girl to clear off 315 off a bar.
Yeah.
Like, you're just not thinking of others.
You're an asshole.
Or like leaving a bench full of sweat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wipe that crap off.
Yeah. So, all right. Who is the number one like person that's in your space that you wish you could collaborate? You could collab with.
Two people, and it's not really a collab.
Yeah.
One is somebody that I want to kind of go under a mentorship with. Is Tom Purvis. He is like the resistance king. And then the other one is Aldo from Iron University.
All right. And why? Why those two people?
They're the best at what they do.
Yeah. They've really just honed their own each discipline. Are they different?
Like, well, I mean, Aldo learned from Tom.
Yeah. Okay.
But they just, you asked me, how do you come up with stuff? Aldo's the same way.
Yeah.
Like, he literally takes brand new machines and cuts them apart to fit the way it's actually supposed to work for a resistance profile for somebody's body instead of the way it was made.
Got it. All right. Who is a like celebrity athlete, some like famous person that you wish that you would like to train? Like you be their coach. Who would you think would enjoy that?
Oh, I thought you just meant train with.
No. Well, that was for That next is like who do you like? What's somebody that you wish you could like
work with?
Yeah, that you wish you could work with.
Nick Walker.
Huh?
Nick Walker.
Why?
Just to pick his brain.
Yeah.
Even though he works with the best of the best.
Yeah.
If I was ever able to work with anybody at the top level and teach them something they did not know, I think that would just be a credit to, okay, I actually do know what I'm doing.
Yeah, cool. All right, so, man, we're going to finish up here. So let's talk about you. Like, so how do people, like if beginner, I want to get in, I want to start training with somebody. Somebody teach me. How do they get in contact with you? What's the best way to what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Just reach out to me on social media.
Yeah. Slide in your DMs.
Yeah, slide in the DMs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny to me how there are still people that don't know that I'm a personal trainer. Like I get messages, are you a personal trainer? Like, do you watch my content? What do you think I do?
Yeah.
But yeah, just hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok.
Are your handles the same all the way across?
Yeah, Rhinehart Fitness.
Rhinehart Fitness at Rhinehart Fitness, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So anything big coming down? Like any big collabs? Any changes? Anything you got going on that people should know about?
I'm on the way to pivot into online coaching.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I'm about to be on a waiting list, so
Yeah.
that's the next thing where I'm gonna be doing like 8 and 12-week programs.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that.
Like challenge style things, or just like
I don't know yet. I might do like a challenge style.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like the next pivot point.
Yeah. I mean, because me and you talked about a long time ago. Like there were some guys that were doing those challenges, and man, they were making a lot of money doing those challenges. So what has made you not? What has made you not do that? Like not want to do one of those, pay $100 or whatever, and you get the weekly weekly thing.
So one of the biggest things is
I know that everybody likes money, but money's not what drives you. So like,
I just don't want things to be cookie cutter.
Yeah.
That you're 50 pounds overweight.
Yeah.
I'm 30 pounds overweight. and somebody else wants to gain weight,
Yeah.
and all of our programs are the same.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And there's too many people that do stuff like that,
Yeah.
where it's just copy paste.
Yeah.
If I'm not providing value, if I'm not helping you reach the results that you're trying to achieve, then what am I doing? I'm not going to do something like that just to make money.
Yeah.
If I'm not actually providing value for people and helping them reach success that they are after, I'm not going to do it.
All right. So, what would be a big piece of advice to anybody, an entrepreneur, somebody looking to get a promotion at work, looking to become a better dad? Like, what's some advice that you would give them? Like, just kind of a blanket advice to somebody that's just trying to level up or just trying to be better at anything.
Go for it. Like, I think there's so many people that we have goals, aspirations, things that we want to achieve, but they are either so far ahead of us that we can't see it, feels impossible, feels like it's too hard, don't know where to start. Just start. Just start somewhere. Whether, if you want to write a book, write a title. Start writing notes. You want to start a business, start writing down ideas of what the business is going to be called, what it is that you want to do. Anybody that has something that they want to start, just start. Quit putting it off. If it's a weight loss journey, if it's a bodybuilding competition you've always wanted to do, whatever it is, just start somewhere. Because if you just stay in the thought process and you never put it to paper, you never write a plan, you never take that first step, it's just a wasted opportunity.
Yeah. All right. So what does, this is the final question. What does Homeway Hustle mean to you?
So I look at Homeway Hustle not as the business, I just look at it as you. And your mentality has always been work as hard as you can. You've always been the hustler.
Yeah.
You've always been the whatever it takes, that's what we're going to do. You have that work ethic, you have that drive, you are driven. You don't really see obstacles, you see hurdles. You just got to figure out how to jump over them. I never really see you quit. I never really see you give up. You just pivot and push forward.
Yeah, let's go. I appreciate that. I always try to I want to find what can I do to impact the most amount of people in a positive way. And I know that if that's always my why, is how many people can I help? How many employees can I employ and help them, become better versions of themselves? Like, I could have a smaller business and make more money probably, but I want to I want to have a business that is able to have the most amount of people create a good lifestyle for themselves, be able to take care of their families. And then how many employees can I help? How many people can I go out? How many houses can I dry? How many people can I make their bathrooms beautiful and functional? Kitchens, making that addition to where they have more space for their family, finishing out that attic for their, where they can make an extra bedroom for their kid to have more room. That's my why. It's how can I positively impact people through my business? And that's my why, and that is my Homeway Hustle. It's how do I continuously keep going? Don't stop. Don't let it, like I said, don't see those losses as, anytime I take a L, I take a learn. I learn from it and just keep going.
For sure. It's got to be a lesson.
Yeah, it's got to be lessons. So, man, I think this was incredible, man. I really appreciate you coming on here.
Thanks
and,
for having me.
sitting here and talk with us. And man, we've talked for 2 hours and 27 minutes, bro. It feels like I think we could sit here and talk for another 2 hours. Like
Yeah, probably so.
I've there's a lot there. I think there needs to be a part 2 to this in a couple weeks because
I'm down with that.
now that we've talked, like I've got a lot of more wheels turning in my head of those things that like I think I could ask you about, and how you can, we never really got into the science of what you do and like how you learn and like what's the the holistic approach and like the science behind personal training. I think we'll do a part 2 to this.
I'm down with that.
And we'll get more into the nuts and bolts. And then now we know who Andrew is. We know his why. We know why you do people. And I think the next one's like let's talk about like how you do it. Like,
Let's do it.
Let's talk about how you go about taking those people and transforming them into whatever it is their goal. So man, we appreciate you being here. We'll do an awkward left hand shake.
Awkward left hand. Knock the mic
And
out.
man, we appreciate y'all, and man, make sure y'all go check out Andrew's social media. His social media will be plugged in the video, to where you can go find it. We'll put the links to all of his social media there. You can go check him out on his TikTok, his Instagram, his Facebook, and you can go see some of the crazy, tinker toy stuff he puts together in order to help his people and become better versions of themselves. So that's it. Homeway Hustle out.